Good day everyone! Today's topic is about one of the geological processes which is exogenic. The title of this journal article is Soft Sediment Deformation Structures in a Lacustrine Sedimentary Succession Induced by Volcanotectonic Activities, an example from the Cretaceous Bjorljomri Formation, Wido Volcanics, Korea, by Koke et al. 2017. Now let's start with the introduction of this study. Sediment is a matter that settles to the bottom of a liquid. Now, soft sediment deformation structures or SSD structures are formed in unconsolidated or semi-consolidated sediments by the combined effects of deformation mechanisms that cause a loss of intergranular shear strength and the driving force that exerts stress on the sediments to be deformed. The deformation mechanisms are triggered by endogenic and exogenic events related to intrinsic processes in sedimentary environments and to allogenic processes commonly linked with tectonic activities. This study was conducted at the Wido Volcanics, which is a Cretaceous volcano sedimentary succession on the Korean peninsula. The Bjorljomri Formation is a lacustrine deposit composed of laminated mudstone and sandstone layers deposited during interval between major volcanic eruptions. Bjorljomri Formation contains a number of SSD structures that show widespread occurrence, lateral continuity, and vertical repetition. The objectives of this study are to examine and document the morphology and deformation features of SSD structures within this formation and then consider the possible triggering agents, and also to examine the genetic relationship between triggering agents and magmatic activities based on the field evidence from Bjorljomri Formation and associated volcanistic deposits together with sensitive high-resolution ion microprobe uranium-lead zircon dating age. For the hypothesis, earthquakes that caused the development of the SSD structures in the study area were closely related to syndepositional magmatic activities, as is the case for modern tectonic earthquakes around active volcanoes. The methodology of this study are field examination of SSD structures together with an analysis of sedimentological records of Bjorljomri Formation. They also conducted sensitive high-resolution ion microprobe uranium-lead zircon age dating. The researchers conducted this study at the Wido Volcanics. Now here's the geological map of the Wido Volcanics. The Wido Volcanics are composed of conformably stacked volcanic, volcanistic, and sedimentary rocks showing vertical variations in the composition and types of constituent sediments, and its basement is not exposed. In this study, the researchers described the Wido Volcanics using the scheme of Koh et al. 2013. This figure showed the schematic columnar lag of the volcano sedimentary succession in the Wido Volcanics. As you can see, the upper part of the Wido Volcanics are Bjorljomri Formation and Tandale Tuff, and at the middle part we can find the Manggyeongbong Tuff, and at the bottom we can find the Deri andesites. Let's start with the Deri andesites. When we say andesites, it is an extrusive rock intermediate composition between rhyolite and basalt. Now, the Deri andesites is made up of aperic, porphyritic, and flow-banded autobrecciated or structureless andesites. Individual andesites units are meters to decimeter thick or up to 250 meter thick in total. Locally, andesites units conformably overlie dinosaur egg bearing, which is homogeneous reddish mudstones. Next is the Manggyeongbong Tuff, which is 900 meter thick and consists of rhyolitic volcanistic rocks divided into lower, middle, and upper parts according to depositional features. The volcanistic rocks are made up of lapilli. When we say lapilli, it is a size classification of tephra, which is a material that falls out of the air during volcanic eruptions. The volcanistic rocks are made up of lapilli to black-sized lithic fragments and pumice, supported by a welded or non-welded fine-grained ash matrix. Researchers interpreted that it is deposited by pyroclastic density currents during eruptions, or resedimented sediment gravity flows following the eruptions. Now, as Mangrumbong Top passes upwards into the Bolgiumri Formation, volcanistic debris decreases, and an increase in occurrence of laminated mudstones. The Bolgiumri Formation is 100 meter thick and it is composed mainly of planar laminated or thinly bedded mudstone intercalated with sandstone and chert beds, having been interpreted as lacustrine deposits as seen in Figure A. Also, as you can see in Figure A, Bolgiumri Formation consists of alternating layers of laminated mudstone, normally sandstones, and a massive sandstones. Each layer has a sharp, gradual lower boundary of brownish sandy silt to gray or dark gray silty clay. The interbedded sandstone are normally graded or massive and show a sheet-like geometry. As you can see in Figure B, the laminated mudstone are composed of alternating layers of millimeter to centimeter thick, brownish sandy silt, and dark gray silty clay formed by settling suspended sediments. In Figure C, you can see a normally graded sandstone that are made up of a thin, very thick bedded, moderately sorted very fine sand to granule with a sharp or erosional lower boundary. Planar stratification is also common as seen in Figure C. As seen in Figure D, within Bolgiumri Formation, a 6 to 8 meter thick bed of lapilli tuff crops out across 3 capes. The lapilli tuff bed is composed of normally graded, lapilli-sized andesites, tuff, and pumice with a sharp or erosional lower boundary. While in Figure E and F, we can see that carbonized plant fragments and ash aggregates are common in the upper part of the bed. The Tandele tuff, which is the topmost part of the Wido Volcanics, occurs only on uninhabited islands and is estimated to be about 40 meter thick. As seen in Figure G, the Tandele tuff is composed of well-bedded and laterally persistent top breccias and lapilli tuff. And in Figure H and I, the top breccias consist of angular to subangular blocks of rhyolite and tuff, supported largely by matrix composed of poorly sorted mixture of fine-grained ash and subhedral to broken crystals, or potassium feldspar. Soft sediment deformation structures in the Bolgiumri Formation can be divided into 6 categories based on morphology and deformation as seen in this figure. We have fold structures, lode structures, water escape and sediment injection structures, rip-down structures, bowden structures, sedimentary faults. Fold structures are common in the upper part of Bolgiumri Formation. The folds are characterized by laterally continuous, which are underlain and overlain by undeformed beds with an irregular and transitional boundary as seen in Figure 6a. Most of the folded layers are 1 to 2 meter thick or up to 3 meter thick and consist of thick sandstone and relatively thin mudstone layers. Internally, individual folded beds or laminae have an asymmetric geometry with different divergences in single layer as seen in Figure 6b. Some fold axes are also vertically and laterally variable within a single folded layer. For instance, folds are laterally transitional to tight to open and recumbent to upright fold as seen in Figure 6c. In the lower part of the folded layer, distorted laminations and beds can laterally be traced, but they become chaotic upwards and are broken in the upper part of the folded layer as seen in Figure 6b. The fold structures can be interpreted as ductile deformation. However, asymmetric geometry and overturned folds in the study area suggest deformation in hydroplastic manner rather than a ductile deformation process. An upward change in internal structure from folded stratification to chaotic or brecciated in single fold layer suggests an upward increase in the degree of deformation, indicating liquefaction as a primary deformation mechanism. This is because longer duration in the upper part of liquefied layer than the lower part makes it more susceptible to deformation. The lode structures are semi-spherical and have concave up geometry and vertically become wide, displaying similar morphology to the lode cast as seen in Figure 7a. The lode casts are very few centimeters in diameter, and intervening flame structures are common between the lode casts. Lode structures also occur along boundaries between tens of centimeters thick lower fine to medium sandstones and upper coarse grained sandstone systems, as seen in Figure 7b and c. In this case, the lode structures show somewhat different morphologies compared to those between the sandstone and mudstone or even chert beds. The lode structures are composed of coarse to very coarse sand and up to 10 cm long, semi-spherical or elliptical geometry as seen in Figure 7b. Although lode casts are common, some are connected to the overlying sandstones through narrow necks or attached to pseudonodules. When we say pseudonodules, those are soft sediment deformation structures comprising rounded masses of clastic sediment set in similar or fine-grained matrix. Downwards, the pseudonodules are completely detached from overlying sediments and or surrounded by the underlying sediments or detached pseudonodules. Locally, detached pseudonodules are vertically stacked, forming ball and phyllo structures as seen in Figure 7c. For interpretations, the lode structures are interpreted to be driven by load of the overlying dense sediments along the interface between two layers with reverse density gradients. The lode cast can be formed through gravitational readjustment under condition of temporal loss of sediment strengths in the lower part or both layers during liquefaction. The lode structure in the Sansan system also suggests gravitational instability of two layers. However, the downward transition of lode structures from the interface indicate complex deformation processes in comparison with simple lode casts. As deformation progresses, the sinking of lode cast with diapiric motion of underlying liquefied sediment gave rise to high disturbance of the interface, resulting in the formation of the attached pseudonodules through the narrow necks. Detached pseudonodules form by complete disconnection of the attached pseudonodules from the overlying sediments with sinking rates of lode cast exceeding the upward motion of the underlying sediments. Locally developed ball and phyllo structures resulted from vertically stacking of the detached pseudonodules. The contrast lode structures between sand mud or chert and sand-sand's interface are interpreted to be attributed to duration of the liquefied state of sand mud and sand-sand systems. Although fine-grained mud in sand-mud system is thought to be susceptible to liquefaction, cohesion prevents disconnection of grain-grain contacts by pore fluids. Thus, thick and fine medium-grained sand layer in sand-sand system are vulnerable to liquefaction and sustain a liquefied state for longer than sand-mud system, providing enough time for sediments to be deformed, resulting in complex geometries. Next is water escape structures. Fluid escape structures are sedimentary structures that form during escape of pore fluids from loose unconsolidated sediments. Water escape structures are less than 20 cm in width and less than 30 cm in height. They are seen in alternating layers of the sandstones and mudstone aligned vertically or subvertically to bedding planes. They are generally linear, but their margins are irregular, as seen in Figure 8a and b. The mudstone and fine sandstones commonly intrude the overlying medium coarse sandstone. In this case, folded and dislocated clasts as well as faults can be observed around water escape structures, as seen in Figure 8b. Some fine depleted pods occur on the bedding planes of the sandstone, as seen in Figure 8c. The Bjorkjemre formation is intruded by an apheric to porphyritic igneous body or intermediate seal, as seen in Figure 8d. Although its lower and upper boundaries are generally parallel or subparallel to the bedding plane, the lower interface is locally irregular as seen in Figure 8b. Brachiated clasts as well as tube-like structures are not observed along the boundaries. In CY1, the intermediate seal is dissected by a sand dike as seen in Figure 8e. The width of the sand dike ranges from 10 cm to 1 meter and vertically penetrates the intermediate seal greater than 10 meter with irregular and wavy boundaries. The sand dike is composed of fine-grained sandstone with scattered brachiated mudstone, as seen in Figure 8f. For interpretation, water-escape structures are interpreted to form by fluidization in response to an increase in pore water pressure gradients. Fluidization started just after liquefaction and resedimentation of suspended particles at lower level gave rise to an increase in pore water pressure. As a result, water and fine-grained particles move upward, thereby cutting and deforming the overlying sediments, making folded, dislocated clasts or forming fine depleted pods. The presence of normal faults around the water escape structures is probably related to collapse of surrounding sediments due to a decrease in volume by escaping pore water and particles. Next is rip-down structures. These are composed of floating mudstone clasts within an upper part of sandstone bed overlain by mudstone, reverse sense of the load structures as seen in Figure 9a and b. The mudstone clasts are angular to sub-rounded shapes ranging in long axis from 1 to 15 centimeters. The clasts are generally scattered, however, some of them are partly attached with the overlying mudstone as seen in Figure 9b. Along the interface between mudstone and sandstone layers, the underlying sandstone protrudes the overlying mudstones, forming an irregular boundary, as seen in Figure 9b. For interpretations, occurrence of mudstone clasts along the upper part of the sandstone bed and partly attached mudstone clasts with the overlying mudstone bed suggests that the mudstone clasts derive from the overlying mudstone bed. The irregular boundary of protruding sandstone indicates an upward invasion of sand grains into the overlying bed before lithification, suggesting liquefaction-associated fluidization as the main deformation processes. In this situation, the bed cannot sustain the overlying mudstone bed that would partly sink down, resulting in formation of the floating mudstone clasts within the lower sandstone bed. Boden structures occur at the thin-bedded, medium to coarse sandstones which are embedded in mudstones. Individual bodens are narrow and irregular in shape. Pinch and swell structures can be seen. They show variable heights from 1 cm to 5 cm and decimeter in scales in lateral extent. The both sides of Boden neck presents rounded ends and bedding of underlying and overlying mudstone converge towards the Boden necks. For interpretations, the bodens are interpreted as products of plastic deformation and form as a result of competence contrast with the laminae bundles, and that is caused by stretching and unlithified sediments. Small scales in sedimentary faults, both normal and reverse, are mainly observed in the lower Bjorgum formation. These faults, which show a few centimeters of displacement along lengths of less than 30 cm, tourniquet both the overlying and underlying coarse-grained sandstone beds. Normal faults display pairs of conjugate geometry as seen in Figure 9b. Some reverse faults are associated with drag fold layers and dislocated breccias clasts as seen in Figure 9e. Occasionally, both normal and reverse faults can be seen in the same layer at the BG section. However, the temporal relationship between these faults remain unclear, as seen in Figure 9f. For interpretation, since sedimentary faults represent brittle deformation, however, they occur in consolidated, partially consolidated, and even non-consolidated sediments. In particular, the drag layer and dislocated class in reverse fault zone indicate that they were incompletely revied at the time of faulting and tourniquet only at the restricted layer. Thus, since sedimentary faults may result from different physical properties during plastic deformation. In addition, the coexistence of both normal and thrust faults can be interpreted as a result of local extension and compression. To constrain the timing of SSD formation in the Bjorngeometry formation, this study performed zircon-uranium lead age dating using sensitive high-resolution ion microprobe at the Ochang Center of the Korea Basic Science Institute or KBSI. When we say zircon, it is a mineral belonging to the group of nesosilicates and it is a source of the metal zirconium. In uranium-lead dating of zircon, the zircon is found to exclude initial lead almost completely. The internal structures of zircon grains before analysis were observed under electron microscope using BSE and CL imaging. BSE are beam electrons that are reflected from the sample by elastic scattering. Since they have higher energy, they emerge from deeper location within the specimen. While CL imaging is an optical electromagnetic phenomenon in which electron impacting on a luminescent material that cause the emission of photons which may have wavelengths in the visible spectrum. The result of UPB age dating from Manggrimbong-Taft and Tandale-Taft are listed in Table 1. CL images of zircons from the Manggrimbong-Taft show euhedral or crystal shapes with the development of oscillatory or sector zoning that suggests a magmatic origin. Some zircons contain subhedral to anhedral inherited core grains with a dark or light gray fluorescence, inherited core, and dark gray overgrowth rims. Zircons from Tandale-Taft are 100 to 200 micrometer in diameter and also have euhedral shapes with the oscillatory or sector zoning in CL image. In the study area, SSD structures are dominated by contorted but still preserved stratification and an upward increase in deformation intensity, as well as waterscape structures which suggest liquefaction and associated fluidization as the main deformation mechanisms. The predominance of planar laminated mudstones without wave-induced sedimentary structures indicate that SSD structures develop below the wave base. The passage of a series of seismic waves is a plausible trigger in the study area. Cyclic compressional and tensional stresses during large earthquake can result in an increase in pore water pressure in water-saturated, unconsolidated to semi-consolidated sediments, thereby providing favorable condition for liquefaction. Previous studies point out that earthquake-induced SSD structures have distinctive physical characteristics compared to those induced by endogenic triggers, such as large areal extent, lateral continuity, vertical repetition of deformed strata, similar morphologies compared to those triggered by recent earthquakes, proximity to an active fault, and zonational complexity proportional to the distance from the active fault. Cretaceous volcanoes sedimentary succession in the Buwan volcanics, which are located close to the Wido volcanics, are also developed along the Gonju fault system, and the shrimp UPB zircon age are similar to those of the Wido volcanics, suggesting dynamic magmatic and volcanic activities around Wi Island. Magmatic and tectonic activities can be closely related. Magmatic activities along fault system not only give rise to creating huge volumes of volcanistic debris but can also be closely related to tectonic activities. According to modern seismic records around active volcanoes, volcanotectonic earthquakes have commonly occurred before and after eruption along nearby faults or fractures. While tectonic earthquakes can be triggered by changes in local stress field around active volcanoes owing to inflation and deflation of the magma reservoir and vice versa. In the study area, the Bjorngeometry formation is underlain and overlain by thick volcanistic and their age are within margin of error, which suggests that Bilgeum Formation was deposited during a short interval between major volcanic eruptions. Several lines of evidence suggest magmatic and volcanic activities during and immediately after deposition of Bilgeum Formation, such as lithic blocks of the top brushes in the Tandale top may have not been supported by gas turbulence in pyroclastic density currents, and they may roll or slide and become entrapped by a grading depositional boundary, which indicate proximity of the inferred volcanic edifice and lake. Sand dikes penetrate the intermediate sill also imply magmatic intrusion before lithification of the Bilgeum Formation, which reflects syndepositional magmatic activities. Lafili tuff bed indicate an explosive volcanic eruption during deposition. The researchers inferred that although syndepositional fault system cannot be determined, the magmatic activities offered favorable condition for the generation of the earthquakes which could be responsible for the development of SSD structure in the study area. For the conclusion, the Bilgeum Formation is a lacustrine sedimentary succession at the terminal edge of the regional strike-slip fault system, deposited during a short interval between major volcanic eruptions. This formation contains SSD structures interpreted to be a consequence mainly of liquefaction and fluidization by ground shaking during earthquakes. The coarse grain and thick volcanistic deposits which overlie and underlie Bilgeum Formation, along with the magmatic intrusion or intermediate sill within Bilgeum Formation, which is intersected by sand dike, and the occurrences of bed of Lafili tuff in the Bilgeum Formation suggest dynamic syndepositional magmatic activities. The researchers conclude that the earthquakes may have resulted from tectonic movement on the pre-existing faults and fractures formed owing to syndepositional magmatic activities.